Picture this. Your phone screen lights up with a notification from your bank. You already know what it says because you felt it before you saw it. Low balance alert. And suddenly, your entire week changes. You don't buy groceries the way you planned. You put fuel in your car in small amounts instead of filling the tank. You delay a doctor's visit. You pay the minimum on your credit card again. And the messed up part? None of those choices feel irresponsible. They feel necessary. But here's the thing most people never stop to question. Why does being broke feel so expensive? Why does it seem like the less money you have, the more money everything costs? Today, we're going to break down the uncomfortable math behind that, and why being broke often means you're quietly paying double for everything. My name is Jake, and I spend way too much time thinking about the math of being broke, why you pay double for everything. If you're someone who feels like you're constantly behind, always paying fees, interest, penalties, and never quite catching up no matter how hard you try, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because look, this isn't about laziness. It's not about willpower. And it's definitely not about bad money habits. It's about math and psychology, and a system that quietly charges people more for having less. Here's what most people don't realize. Being broke is not neutral. It's not just having less money. It actively changes the price of everything in your life. Economists call this the poverty premium, the extra cost people pay simply because they lack cash, credit, or stability. And this isn't some fringe idea. A study by the Brookings Institution found that low-income households routinely pay 10 to 20% more for basic goods and services than higher-income households. Same milk, same electricity, same car, higher price. Let's walk through how this actually happens. Let's start with the most visible example, debt. Say you need a $1,000 emergency repair on your car. Scenario A, you have savings. You pay $1,000. That's it. End of story. Scenario B, you're broke. You put it on a credit card at 24% APR. You can only afford the minimum payment. That $1,000 repair? Over time, it costs you $1,300 to $1,400. Same repair, 40% more expensive. And that's considered normal debt. Now look at payday loans. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau reports that the average payday loan APR is 391%. That's not a typo. People often end up paying 2 to 3 times the original amount borrowed just to stay afloat. This is where it gets really interesting. Most people don't take these loans because they're reckless. They take them because they don't have a cheaper option, which brings us to the real problem. Here's a rule of life that nobody teaches you. Cash is a coupon. If you have money up front, everything gets cheaper. If you don't, everything becomes installment priced. Let's talk about bulk buying. A 24-pack of toilet paper might cost $18. A single roll costs $1.50. Do the math. The single rolls cost twice as much per unit. But if you're broke, you don't buy bulk. You buy what you can afford today, and you pay more forever. Same thing with monthly phone plans versus prepaid, annual subscriptions versus monthly, insurance paid yearly versus monthly installments, gym memberships, software, internet, transportation passes. The poor pay more because they're forced into short-term pricing. Now let's talk about cars, because this one quietly destroys people. If you're financially stable, you might buy a reliable used car in cash for $8,000. No payments, lower insurance, minimal stress. If you're broke, you buy what you can get approved for. A $12,000 car financed at a high interest rate. Over 5 years, that car costs you $18,000 to $20,000. And that's before repairs. And here's the psychological trap. Cheap cars feel expensive. Expensive cars feel affordable because the payment is spread out. This is called payment illusion, focusing on monthly cost instead of total cost. And dealerships know this. Here's what most people don't realize. Banks don't make the most money from rich customers. They make it from broke ones. Overdraft fees, late fees, minimum balance fees, account maintenance fees. The CFPB found that overdraft fees alone cost Americans over $12 billion per year, disproportionately hitting low-income households. You overdraft by $5. The bank charges you $35. That's a 700% penalty. And once you're behind, fees stack on top of fees. This isn't accidental, it's designed. Now you might be thinking, okay, but some of this is avoidable if you just try harder. Look, I get that thought, but here's the thing. Being broke doesn't just take your money, it takes your time. If you're juggling multiple jobs, commuting longer distances, dealing with unreliable transportation, fighting customer service over fees, you lose the ability to optimize. You can't shop around. You can't negotiate. You can't research. Psychologists call this cognitive load. When your brain is busy surviving, it can't strategize, which leads to short-term decisions that look irrational, but are actually logical under pressure. Let's talk about healthcare. When you're financially secure, you go to the doctor early. When you're broke, you wait. That $50 visit turns into a $500 emergency room bill. The American Journal of Public Health found that delayed care significantly increases long-term medical costs, especially among low-income patients. Same illness, higher price, worse outcome. Again, paying double. Where you live affects everything. Low-income neighborhoods often have higher grocery prices, fewer banks, more check cashing services, higher insurance rates, lower quality schools, longer commutes. Even zip codes change prices. Car insurance premiums can vary hundreds of dollars per year based solely on location, not driving behavior. And moving requires money, so people stay trapped where costs are higher. Here's what most people don't realize. The stress of being broke actually makes you worse at money. Studies by Princeton University show that financial scarcity reduces cognitive performance by the equivalent of 13 IQ points. That's like losing a full night's sleep constantly. This leads to impulse spending for relief, avoidance of bills, short-term thinking, shame-based decisions. And shame is paralyzing, which keeps people stuck. Let's simplify this. Being broke means higher interest rates, higher fees, worse pricing, lower flexibility, more stress, less time, fewer options. Each one compounds the other. This isn't a character flaw, it's a math problem. Now, here's the part that actually matters. You can't fix everything at once, but you can attack the math. Step 1. Build a shock absorber. Your first goal is not wealth, it's resilience. Even $500 in emergency savings breaks the fee cycle. Step 2. Reduce interest before investing. Paying off a 25% credit card is a guaranteed return. That's math. Step 3. Convert monthly costs to annual thinking. Ask, what does this cost me per year? This destroys payment illusion. Step 4. Automate stability. Automation removes decision fatigue. Bills paid on time equals fewer penalties. Step 5. Shrink decision stress. Fewer accounts, fewer subscriptions, simpler systems. Mental clarity is financial leverage. This was never about discipline. Look, if you've ever felt like you're working harder than everyone else, but falling further behind, you're not imagining it. The system charges you more for having less. But once you understand the math, you can start playing offense instead of defense. You don't need perfection. You need breathing room. And breathing room changes everything. If this video helped you see your finances differently, give it a thumbs up. It tells the algorithm this matters. Subscribe if you want clear, honest breakdowns of money, psychology, and systems that actually affect your life. And remember, you're not bad with money. You've just been paying a tax no one warned you about.